I first encountered India through a book that my Korean language teacher recommended when I was in my first year of middle school. Ryu Shihwa's The Journey to the Sky Lake, a travel essay similar in spirit to Eat, Pray, Love. That book was a shock in itself to me, who had grown up in a conservative, rural mountain village. When I was in elementary school, I lived in such a remote countryside that even teachers avoided home visits. There were only 3 or 4 TV channels, and cable TV was out of the question. The world felt as narrow as the valley I lived in, and anything outside of it felt as if it barely existed. But when I read that book, each sentence unfolded like magic, and India was portrayed as beautifully and mysteriously as a fairy tale. To me, that book was like a kaleidoscope, and I read it over and over again. After reading it, I would gift it to a dear friend, then buy a new copy, read it again, and gift it again. I did that throughout all 3 years of middle school. I wanted my friends to feel the same warm and immense positive shock that I had felt. That's how I completely fell in love with India. Later, I also read a book called The Traveler of the Earth, and my idea of India was defined exactly by those 2 books. India, like a sky lake within the world the author had drawn. Then, at the age of 22, just before entering college late, I suddenly had 1 month of freedom and a small amount of money. There was a friend like me who had started working early and was entering college that same year. Our situations were very similar. Suddenly, I asked my friend, "Hey, want to go on a trip abroad?" "Okay, where should we go?" "I don't know. Want to go to India?" "There's a book I've been reading since middle school." "Okay, how long should we go?" "India feels like a place you should stay for a while, maybe 2 weeks." "Okay, since we're going anyway, should we make it 3 weeks?" "Okay." And that was the end of the conversation. We immediately went to get our passports. This shows just how conservative and timid I was. I applied for a single-entry passport. I truly believed that the only time I might ever travel abroad in my life would be a honeymoon trip. And even that might not happen. I couldn't even imagine my future enough to hesitate before choosing a single-entry passport. With passport in hand, we ran to a travel agency. "2 tickets to India, please." "Where in India are you going?" Mumbai." The perceptive staff member said, "Most people usually go to New Delhi." Then New Delhi. "Do you have a visa?" "Pardon? A visa?" At that moment, I realized just how ignorant and at the same time, how brave I was. A person declaring they would go to India without even choosing a city and without properly knowing what a visa was. I think I believed a visa either came with the passport or would be obtained upon arrival. So the only plan I came up with was buying a guidebook. When I opened it, I saw something like recommended routes by duration, and I realized for the first time, oh, people plan things like this in advance. But I thought to myself, if I just go like in the book, the trip will naturally happen. The guidebook is just for emergencies. Instead, since travel information was limited back in 2006, I joined a very famous India travel cafe that had enormous influence at the time. There, I contacted someone who offered airport pickup and 1 night at a guest house. They said I just needed to bring a box of instant noodles, as requested. Everything was ready. Passport, visa, flight ticket, guidebook, pickup reservation. Perfect. The day before departure, we took a train and arrived at Seoul Station. It was my first time in Seoul. Seeing the forest of buildings left me speechless. And an even bigger shock, there were no inns or motels in sight. Usually, accommodations are clustered around bus terminals or train stations, so I thought Seoul Station would have plenty. The 2 country mice couldn't help but feel lost. With our backpacks on, we walked for a long time through the dark streets. It was winter, but we couldn't bring heavy coats, so we were dressed in autumn clothes. The wind blew between the tall buildings. It was an unfamiliar kind of cold air. As we walked, we found a narrow, dark alley, and inside it was a small inn sign. We walked around for a while looking for something else, but eventually went in there. On the second floor, the hallway was filled with cigarette smoke, and with doors wide open, men and women were loudly playing cards. The room was old, dirty, and smelled. We left most of our belongings packed and spent the night like that. The next day, we arrived at the airport 5 hours early. I had heard Incheon Airport was huge, so I assumed there would be a supermarket inside. But there wasn't. This was a problem. After asking around, we found out there was a large supermarket nearby. And since we were short on time, we took a taxi. Not even 5 minutes, 5,000 won. It was a deluxe taxi. On the way back, only deluxe taxis were available, so it cost 10,000 won just to buy a box of instant noodles. Considering it was the price of ignorance, honestly, it was cheap. While wandering around, the 5 hours at the airport passed in the blink of an eye. On the plane, we met our benefactors. 2 older girls, about 2 or 3 years older than us. They asked first, "Where are you going?" Inside, I thought, do people plan that in advance? Won't things just work out? But at the same time, I realized people actually do set routes beforehand. They said they were heading to the Western Desert, from Jaisalmer to a small desert village called Kuri, where they planned to go on a camel safari. The moment I heard the name Kuri, my heart started pounding. It was a place I had read about in that book. Meeting them felt like fate. From that moment on, we naturally decided to follow them. My extremely easygoing friend simply said, "Okay again," and the kind older girls smiled and said, "Let's go together." And then we arrived in India. The moment I stepped off the plane, the unfamiliar air of a foreign country hit my nose. It was an indescribable, unique, and intense scent, and I liked it.